everyone, and welcome to our very first video that we're filming in 2020. About 2 years ago, in 2018, our first video was showing all of our American girls. And so we're going to go through every single doll in our collection and tell you a little snippet of the story of how we got them and what they mean to us. We have 46 dolls now. But if you do want to see additional pictures of them, of their clothes, or you just want to read like the stories behind all of that stuff in more detail, check out my Flickr. I will link it below. I have albums for every character that we have. This is going to be a really long video because for us, doll collecting is about the stories and sentiment behind the dolls. So if you're looking for a really quick video where someone just says, I have this doll and moves on, this is not for you, you have been warned. We've been collecting together for about 20 years now. I got my first American Girl when I was 6 years old, and I'm 28 now, just to give it some perspective.
And we've had our first doll, which was my Molly, since Christmas '96.
So without further ado, we're going to get into the video. These are all arranged in the order we got them.
This is Molly, who I got for Christmas in '96. She has been my favorite doll ever since I got her. And I wanted her for several months before I got her. In between, I read all her books and I loved them, and I really related to the character. Around the time when I was in 7th grade, I kind of hit like a resurgence where I just got really into Molly again. She's been kind of like my best friend, besides my sister obviously, so yeah, I just really love this doll.
So my first American Girl was Addie. I got her for my 6th birthday in 1997 because I was really jealous that Colleen had an American Girl, and I've always loved ethnic dolls, and this isn't her original head. I played with her so much as a little kid, and I was really aggressive when it came to hairbrushing, so after a lot of thought, like literally many years of thought, I got her head replaced in 2003, and I'm not sorry about it at all. She is really special to me. I'm so glad she was my first doll. And I also just love her collection. It's darling, and I love her books. I got our third American Girl for my next birthday, my 7th birthday. I remember we were on vacation when she was supposed to arrive, and there was some mix-up with UPS, and they left her on the front steps, and she got rained on. But my parents were really mad, but she was fine. And she's one of my favorite dolls for sure. I went through a lot of different phases with her as a kid, and especially the summer of 2004, we got really back into American Girl, and she was like my favorite doll that year. This is Josephina, or properly pronounced Josefina. Colleen got her for a good report card in the fall of 1998. And you wanted her because you loved Spanish, right?
Yes, and because I think that I felt, because since I love Spanish, I felt like I felt pressured basically that I didn't really love Spanish if I didn't like her. I don't know, it's weird.
I've always just loved ethnic dolls, like their clothes and their skin tones and their hair, so I thought she was like the most beautiful thing ever, and I still do. I still think she's the most beautiful American Girl ever. Colleen got her and never really enjoyed playing with her, and you can tell she has a little chip on her nose from when a fan hit her, and then at some point
that was a cat's fault.
Colleen gave her to me, and she was completely trashed by that point, and that was when I was probably about 10, 11. My dog chewed one of her feet, but in 2012 I actually bought a leg off eBay and put it on myself, so she's all back together, and we call her Isabel to kind of distinguish her from the other Josephinas. So then Kirsten and Felicity, we both picked out for Christmas 1998. So I really wanted, I was torn between Felicity and Samantha for my birthday that year, and I ended up picking Samantha, so for Christmas I decided to get Felicity. I love colonial stuff. It's one of my favorite historical eras, and I convinced Colleen to get Kirsten.
Just to kind of complete the historical set that was out at the time.
We actually opened the two of them at the same time. We faced them towards each other and pulled off the wrapping paper. Colleen really never played with Kirsten. She looks like brand new, other than getting Silver Eye early on. She was the first one of Colleen's dolls she let me have, and you always forget that she was yours.
I've forgotten so many times that she was once mine.
She's really special to me because I was really into playing with her when I got Bitty Baby in 2001. If you've been following my channel since the beginning, one of my earlier videos was us sending her in to get free eye replacement. That again was a decision we thought many years about because they're like our babies. So then we each had a Girl of Today doll as kids. Now, we got them at different times, but they were supposed to be for the same Christmas of 1999. So
I just chickened out at the last minute because I was having misgivings.
Yes, this is GT3. I named her Angela. I got her that Christmas. My parents told me that if I was going to get an American Girl, I was just going to get her and a Barbie I really wanted because they were expensive. So I did get a few other little trinkets, but this was like my main gift that year. And honestly, like, I think I just picked her because she was heavily advertised. Mallory over here, calling named after Valerie Tripp.
Yep, the author of the Molly, Samantha, and Felicity book.
And she's GT16, and you got her in February 2000 for your birthday, your 13th birthday.
And that night, I regretted it because I felt like I had kind of too many of them, and that I kind of missed when I just had Molly. And I had this really dramatic moment at night when everybody else was in bed where I was like singing You're Still the One by Shania Twain to Molly. And that's kind of when I stopped getting other American Girl dolls for a really long time.
This is Biddy Baby. I named her Biddy. I loved baby dolls since I was super young, and I always wanted a Biddy Baby, but I wanted to be like my big sister and get a regular American Girl, plus like Addie was way cooler than Biddy Baby. So I was actually 9 when I got her. I got her for a good report card, and she was one of my most prized possessions. I had a real diaper bag, a real stroller, I had a car seat for her. I took her everywhere like she was my baby. Now this is my most prized possession of them all. This is my Josephina doll. I got her for my 11th birthday, and I've told this story like 1,000 times on this channel, but that was my last birthday with my mom. She passed away less than 2 weeks later, but she was sick that day at my party because she had cancer. By party, I mean it was my parents and Colleen and our grandmother. I begged and pleaded with mom and dad to let me get my own Josephina doll because the one Colleen gave me was wrecked by that point, and dad actually talked mom into letting me get her. Because my mom was sick at the time and Josephina and her stories had lost her mom, I felt like a connection towards her, and especially after my mom passed away, I felt even more of a bond with this doll and her stories, and we're a lot alike in character and stuff. For Christmas 2002, so a few months after I got Josephina, that was our first Christmas without mom, and I just kind of honestly decided to get an American Girl to fill the void of not having mom there. For whatever reason, I picked a GT2. I remember I had all this stuff set up for Amber before she came. I had like a bunk made for her and little posters and things. And I remember that Christmas we went to our uncle's for the first time because before my parents always had Christmas at our house. And I remember like the back window of dad's truck had been broken by a stick, so there was cardboard back there, and dad slipped down the stairs at my uncle, so it was like a really bad Christmas. But I remember having her in the car with me that night, and she's been really special ever since. These 3 ladies happened for Christmas 2004. I know. You're like 3 American Girls. So I just want to say that after mom died, dad overcompensated by buying us stuff.
I think he thought that it would keep us younger, like more like what he could relate to if he focused on the toys instead of stuff he didn't get.
That was the year we got really, really into American Girl.
So it all started, I want to say it was either early fall or late summer when we were in the car, and dad had said, when I was talking about how Molly, my old Molly, who by that point, like, her leg was coming off, and...
Yeah, they've all been fixed up in adult years, but they did not look that.
Yeah, Shelly was joking around me about how she sent Molly to the doll hospital like she'd sent Addie. And I said that, you know, her body was like so bad there was no point replacing her head, and vice versa. And dad said, and I quote, "I think Molly needs to be jacked up and have a whole new doll put in her place." And I said, "I think you're right." And our eyes met of the rearview mirror, and he told me that for Christmas he would buy me a new Molly.
How did Shelly end up with 2 American Girls for Christmas, you might ask? So that summer, I had pointed out my childhood Samantha, whose name is Luca. She was my favorite doll, but she's always had like a defective leg joint, even now as an adult. It's the way it's sewn. So she had that problem. Dad had tried to restring them improperly, might I add, so her and Molly could not fit clothes right. Her wig was pretty trashed.
They had bungee cords.
Yeah, there was just like a lot of things wrong with her. So I was like, well, if Colleen's gonna get a new Molly, I want a new Samantha. But I had also been thinking about getting Kit.
You were really into her books at that point.
I was, and also a reason I wanted Kit was because Mom said she was the cutest doll when she was alive, and Kit was one of the newer characters that had been introduced. So I decided last minute I'm gonna get Samantha, and we ordered a bunch of Samantha stuff too. And then the next night, I guess I went and cried to Colleen about how I wished I had picked Kit, and then she went and told Dad. Yeah, really dramatic, right? And I think a lot of this was just projection about Mom not being there for the holidays. When I look back and reflect, I filled a lot of voids with dolls back then. Dad, spoiling me rotten like he did, said I could get Kit too, but don't worry, Colleen actually got Molly's trunk.
Which I think cost more than Kit, so I made it like a van.
All the stuff shipped out and arrived at the same day. And Dad let us open Molly and Kit that day, which was a few weeks before Christmas. But I actually opened this Samantha on Christmas, and I actually always think of my Uncle David when I look at this doll, because I had her with me all of Christmas Day, and he kept asking me, oh, you must really like that doll.
A slumber party that night in the living room, which was super fun.
Yes. Yeah, properly pronounced Kaya. I got her for my good report card in May of 2005. I had always wanted there to be a Native American doll, like always. Dad would always say that it wasn't really an American Girl line without a Native American, and that made me want them to make one more, because Dad actually engaging in a civilized conversation about dolls was really cool to me. I really, really enjoyed her and played with her a lot, and she's really special because Dad honestly didn't know any of the dolls apart except Addie, Molly, and Kia. He picked me out an outfit for my birthday, my 14th birthday, which was the last year I was into dolls as a kid. She reminds me a lot of Dad. And the last doll I had as a kid is the Girl of the Year 2005, Marisol. When Marisol came out, she was like the most gorgeous thing I'd ever seen, and then I bought her book at Barnes & Noble, and I fell in love with her book. And I really, really, really decided I wanted her, so a few weeks before Christmas in 2005, and I finally cracked and I told Dad I wanted to get Marisol. Now I was like 14 at the time, so this was kind of like awkward for me because I was starting to like grow out of dolls and get too cool for them. But when Dad ordered, they weren't sure if they had any Marisols left. She was the last one in the country that they had at the warehouse, and they actually had to send someone down to the warehouse to make sure she was legitimately there. And I somehow got one outfit for her and her accessory set. I remember sitting there while he was on the phone holding my breath like, please let there be Marisol. So everyone else from here on out was purchased when we were adults. So this was my second bitty baby. Her name is Keisha. I got her in the fall of 2011. So that January we got back into collecting dolls, and we weren't super into American Girl. We were kind of too cool for all of the new stuff. But when I saw Keisha at a flea market outside in like horrible shape, I really wanted her, and Dad always knew how much I loved Bitty Baby. So he bought me her for $10, and she did have her sleeper, but she didn't have a diaper. Her hair was all scuffed up. I fixed all the paint myself on it years ago. The scary thing is, based on her like head mold and her body tag and stuff, she was only probably a year or two old max and looked like that, and it's really sad. These two dolls, we have my Josephina named Rosalita and Colleen's flea market Molly. We got them together not long after we got Keisha. They were at an indoor flea market, and I remember Dad had actually taken us there because there was some Wizard of Oz dolls that he wanted us to look at, and when we saw all the American Girl stuff, we got really excited.
Kirsten got a lot of her clothes.
Yes, that's where a lot of Kirsten's clothes came from. The lady had American Girls for $35 each, and these were like from the 90s and early 2000s. They had their like meat outfits and stuff, and because Josephina and Molly were our favorite characters, Dad said we could get them for Christmas as like an early Christmas gift, and I actually got her with her bed, if you watched my Josephina collection video.
I wanted her because there's kind of a big difference between the Molly I got for Christmas '96 and the one I got for 2004. Something about them was quite a bit different, whereas this doll, I don't know her exact year, but I want to say she's within a year or two of my Molly. She, like, the set of her wig and everything is like what I grew up with, so I really fell in love with her, and to this day I still think she's probably my prettiest Molly.
I wanted Rosalita because at the time, our first Josephina named Isabel had the chewed foot, and the one I got for my birthday has super red skin. Like, if you look on my Flickr, you can tell how different they look. So she was like released around the same time as our first doll, but when I got her home I realized how wonky her eyes are. Like, I don't know if you guys can tell, but like they're wicked wonky. And at first I was really upset and really regretful of buying her, but I have to say I came to really love that about her, and she has the nicest hair of the bunch. The summer of 2013 at our local flea market. No, summer. I saw this seller had a ton of American Girl stuff, a bunch of dolls, a bunch of clothes, and I saw this really old baby. Now she's got to be like a Pleasant Company stock one. So she was $50 and she came with a ton of extras like a high chair, a diaper bag, like all the old school kind of bitty baby stuff you could possibly want. And I really wanted more clothes. We thought about it for a week and then we came back and we ended up buying her, and she really needed like an adult collector to fix her up because her stuff was covered in chocolate syrup and she was disgusting. So I named her Jelly. So then in 2014, that's where a lot of damage happened. This is the year we got right back in, like really into American Girl, and it started with Nellie. Again, we were at the flea market and I saw Nellie standing up on a seller's booth. This was July 2014, and I like immediately ran over. I never wanted Nellie as a kid. I kind of thought her character was a bit too much of a martyr for me and I wasn't that wowed by the doll, but I was like seeing a celebrity, so of course I ran over, and I
remember her trucking it down that
I felt so bad for her because she had Sharpie eyeliner the kid drew underneath her eyes. Her bangs had been cut. You can kind of see the little slit there. Her hair was frizzy. You could pick her up and all her limbs would flop. She was coated in like this greasy, oily, nasty dirtiness, and she was wearing a Samantha dress with no underwear and shoes. So they wanted $50 for her originally, but as we were talking, the lady's like, well, you could have her for $25. And I was like, you know, if anyone else gets this doll, they will send her in for a head replacement, and I know I have the skills to fix her up, and I'm all about that life, like fixing things even if they're not perfect. So I ended up buying Nellie and fixing her up, and I got her clothes off the internet. She just renewed my love of American Girl, and I don't know why, like I never thought I'd want a Nellie doll, and that's how all of this literally happened because of Nellie. She's a very important centerpiece in our collection, and I wouldn't trade her for a perfect looking Nellie. So literally within the week, I was on American Girl's website, which I hadn't really spent a lot of time on there in recent years, but I found out that they were retiring all of the best friend dolls because they were getting ready for Be Forever, and I was disappointed because I had always secretly liked Julianne Ivy, and as someone who was very into ethnic dolls, I loved the idea of an Asian historical character. After a lot of discussion with Colleen, that I would get Ivy for myself as a birthday gift that year. And it was kind of a gamble because we hadn't gotten a brand new American Girl in almost 10 years. And I thought I might be disappointed, but honestly, the day she came, opening her up, the smell, the quality, it felt like it did when I was a kid, and I was so pleased with the experience, and I'm really glad Ivy was that doll for me. My doll has like super wonky eyes, which I never noticed until I went to take pictures of her for Flickr, but it's very charming and her bangs kind of hide it. Because I preferred Ivy aesthetically, but Julie was the main doll from that collection, I did want a Julie, and I ended up finding her on eBay. Literally that same week I found Ivy, and I happened to have gotten a gift card for doing some farm work for eBay, and it seemed like the perfect time to get her. So I got Julie, and she was a steal because I got her with her pajama set and her whole accessory set, and she was barely played with. And of course, that wasn't enough, getting those that year. I remember it was right before Thanksgiving 2014. I was bored on YouTube and I saw the American Girl Isabel movie and I decided to watch it. Now bear in mind, we had seen her in the catalog when we got Ivy because they sent a catalog with Ivy, and Colleen was like, oh my god, that's such a lame Girl of the Year because another dancer, they can't even come up with a new idea, and she's blonde and boring. And part of me agreed, but part of me was very intrigued because she has this colorful hair extension that I thought was really cool. But I never thought I'd really want her, but when I watched the movie, I know it's cheesy, but Isabel's character is so much like me in terms of you compare yourself to other people and you stop doing things you love because you don't think you're good enough, and that steals your joy of the very thing that brought you joy in the first place. And that taught me a lot. Just watching that movie, it kind of made me realize that about myself, and so I really wanted to get her to kind of commemorate that like self-realization. So we actually went to the American Girl store in Boston We handpicked her out. It was the Saturday after Thanksgiving. 2 1980s American Girls. So these were like the ones made in Germany. We have Molly and Samantha.
And they have the white bodies.
Yes, they do.
So I always really liked the idea when I found out about it, there was a white body Molly, and thought it was like really cool and secretly wanted one. One night we were online and we were shopping, which Shelly found her listing, and at first she was more interested in it than I was. She showed me the doll and told me why it was a good deal, and by the end of the night I decided I wanted her, and by the next morning I was moving money from savings to checking so I could go home and buy her.
Yeah, she was $140.
Yeah, around that.
With tax and shipping, and she had her whole meat outfit. She was the most expensive one, like just for the doll in our collection.
Yes, and she needed a lot of work. The pictures didn't really show just how bad the doll was. I'm not saying it was false advertising, it was more like they just didn't do it justice. So when she arrived, I admit I was a little disappointed, but instead of acting disappointed, well, I already spent the money. She's already here. I'm not going to send her back. 'Cause I kind of tried, like, not to show my disappointment. Shelly put, like, 8 hours of work into her.
Well, 10.
And until I got my Be Forever Molly, she was definitely my second favorite Molly. I absolutely love her. She's really sentimental, really special.
I have bad doll envy. So the night we found this doll's listing on eBay, it got me thinking, well, if Colleen gets a white-bodied Molly, I have to get a white-bodied Samantha because she's like the most iconic doll to me. So I found this lady. She had been relisted a ton of times, and she is like the easiest white-bodied doll to get. I got my doll for $108. That included tax and shipping. And she had her accessory set. She was in a lot nicer condition. So yeah, you don't have to pay a lot for these dolls. Like that was cheaper than what a new doll retailed for at the time. I was really scared of what I was gonna think of her when Colleen got this doll, because to me she looked so much like her 90s Mollies. I didn't see the point. But Samantha looks a lot different. Mine has way lighter hair and different eyes. So I was really glad I actually got her and had ordered her before this doll came in the mail. And she is my favorite one aesthetically. This doll happened in November of 2015.
And this is another case of doll envy, only this time it was doll envy on my end. She just got Nellie this holiday outfit. The thing was, I'd always secretly wanted an Emily doll because Emily had been my favorite Molly friend when I was little, like when I first got into Molly. So I always secretly was sad that they made the Emily Bennett doll like just after we went on that doll hiatus. And when I saw Nellie sitting in her new holiday dress, and then we watched the Molly movie, and Emily was a big part of that, I just really started to think Emily doll. So I decided to get an Emily doll. And I really like her because, like I said, I really liked Emily as a whole when I was little, and I fantasized about having an Emily doll before they made one. And it was actually to the point where I had named one of my Meme's porcelain dolls Emily. So getting like the real Emily Bennett doll was just amazing. And
we had always talked about getting Elizabeth. She was actually the best friend that was out when we were growing up that I really liked. I just thought she was gorgeous. But I didn't actually get her because the Christmas I would have gotten her, I got Marisol. And then I didn't get dolls after that for Christmas. So I got her on eBay because Colleen had found Emily, and I was like, whoa, that's just not fair. We need Elizabeth. So I got Elizabeth. She needed some work when I got her, but she had her holiday dress and her accessories, so I bought her in like a cheap bundle deal because I always kind of try to get extras. And I love her, and that wasn't enough. Now, I had always thought about getting a second Addie doll because when as a kid, I was like, do I get her head replaced or do I get another Addie doll? And I was glad I got her head replaced, but there was a part of me, especially when they came out with the Be Forever dolls that have different eyebrows and the new meat outfits, that thought I wanted a Be Forever Addie. We actually tried entering raffles to win a Be Forever Addie many times.
Although I secretly was hoping to get a Rebecca with the raffle too.
But then they ran a sale. It was I don't remember if it was like Cyber Monday that year or one of those like Doll-a-Day deals, but I got her for 20% off, and I decided to get her for myself for Christmas. And I didn't remember opening my childhood Addie at all because I was so young when I got her, so I really cherished opening her up. And I think a Duke, that's what I named her, is a lot prettier than Addie. Like her skin tone's a lot nicer and her eyebrows are a lot softer and more flattering.
And talk about the hair.
Oh babe, yes, and it's so thick and gorgeous and wonderful, and I can play with it. These are the dolls that we got in 2016. So Grace was the girl of the year that came out after Isabel. And at first I had some misgivings, like, really, we need a dumb Parisian baker doll, and I was also salty because Isabel meant so much to me. But after seeing a lot of pictures of Grace and realized, wow, you know, she is a work of art. She's got really like dewy lips and the Josephine head mold and cute freckles and this really interesting hair parting and like these really beautiful highlights. So if I hadn't wanted this Addie, I would have gotten her on that sale, and Colleen knew that. So in February of 2016, I found her on eBay still sealed in her box, like she was brand spanking new, never had been taken out. She had probably been bought on that sale just to be resold, and I got her for retail price, like exactly what I would have paid getting her from American Girl. She is so cute, and actually it's because of her that I liked Lindsay so much. I thought I was immune to Lindsay. She was the first girl of the year. And I had 2 friends who had this doll, and both of those dolls did not enchant me. I thought I could easily resist a Lindsay doll, but on opening day of the flea market 2016, we walked by one of the regular sellers' booths, and there was Lindsay. And again, it was like that celebrity moment. And I think I liked her in person more that time, because see how she kind of resembles Grace? Like, I was like, oh. So I decided I'd walk around and think about it, because she was $75. She had her whole meat outfit, but she was moldy. So I wanted to think about it, but I was rushing through the flea market to go back to Lindsay. And I'm like, dude, you want the doll, just go and get the doll. So she was featured in like my second video ever on this channel. I think I'm actually like even more fond of her than my Grace doll because of all the work that went into her. And that was like a transitional time in my life, because I started my YouTube channel, and at the time we got our devil Jeep named Angel. And I remember that day we got her. I was on such a girl of the year high that in June of 2016, I found a listing for this Jess doll. I forget how much she was exactly. She was like less than $110, and she had her meat outfit and then like part of an accessory set. And I had always liked Jess when she came out. I was still getting catalogs at that point, but I wasn't buying dolls. After getting so many girl of the years, I had been thinking about her. So when she turned up for a price I wanted to pay, I bought her, and it was very impulsive. I remember the day she arrived. Actually, I'd opened her when my friend Lisa was here, because Lisa had gotten a tattoo that day, and I wanted to make sure Jess was safe.
We're very adult. Our friend gets a tattoo, we get a doll.
She's not a doll collector, but she didn't care. I actually love her so much. Besides Isabel and Marisa, she's probably my favorite girl of the year, and like I'm obsessed with her. I'm always like, Jess, this is Jess's bunk bed, this is Jess's outfit. I adore her. Then we have one of my favorites, Karolina. I wanted her for a very long time. I didn't want to admit it because she's a blonde doll. I love her her style clothing and her collection, and I didn't get her when they retired her because I didn't want to feel pressured, but I had thought about it. It was something we talked about doing. I ended up finding her. I got her for my birthday in 2016. I opened her on this channel. She was the first doll I opened on this channel. And I picked her out because she was someone's childhood doll, and the mother was selling her with her pajama set and her accessories, and she wanted her to go to a new and loving home. And I can tell that the kid loved her, and she reminded me so much of my childhood Josephine, you know, balding, the hair was all frizzy, but you could tell it had been like combed. It wasn't naughty or anything. She had literally been balded from too much grooming. So I picked her out so I could fix her up, and that's why she has straight hair, because she didn't really have much of it left. And she is just one of my favorites. I love buying her stuff. I love making her stuff. I'm obsessed with Caroline. I love her more than most of my other dolls. Colleen can attest to this. I'm really obsessed with Caroline. Last doll we got in 2016 was Maya. She is MAG number 41. Now, the funny thing is, I had made a cookbook that year, like a vegetarian cookbook for myself, and I had put American Girl catalog pictures on said cookbook, and she was one of the dolls that made it because she was advertised with the hot dog cart. But I actually did not like this doll in catalogs. I thought she was ugly because she reminded me of this girl I went to school with that was mean to me, and I did not want any part of her. I never thought I would get her. But then it was Labor Day weekend. We went to the flea market, and they had this doll still sealed in her package with just like the wrong box lid, and I couldn't tell what doll she was because the sticker on the box was wrong and her hairnet was on. But I loved her green eyes, and she reminded me a lot of number 25, who I had really wanted for many years. And I thought, well, she probably looks just like number 25, but with like longer or shorter hair and a cooler eye color. When I got her home, I was horrified. I was like, oh my god, I spent $50 on the ugly doll. But I actually absolutely adore her now, and she was so worth the $50, and her name is Maya. And then we have my Hopscotch Hill doll named Gwen. We found her at the local Salvation Army in 2017 for just $2. We saw her in a pile of baby dolls, and Colleen was like, hey, she says Pleasant Company. And I was like, hey, that's the Hopscotch Hill doll I always wanted growing up. So we bought her, we fixed her up, and we bought her this outfit on eBay because she didn't have clothes. We have Marie Grace, one of my favorites. I say that a lot. So I felt bad for Marie Grace because everyone loved Cecile. I mean, why wouldn't you? She's far superior in beauty. But a lot of people were buying her for her special head mold and eyes. So I kind of had a pity complex for Marie, and it made me want her even more than Cecile.
Especially because people had, like, when they retired all the Best Friends characters, everybody felt bad about Ivy and Cecile, but nobody seemed to care about Marie being retired.
Yes.
So there was some pity over that, too.
So I had been thinking about getting her for my birthday in 2017, and we literally had them watch listed on eBay when we were at the flea market, and we saw a doll box sitting on a hood of a car. And I thought in my head, wouldn't it be cool if that was Marie Grace? And lo and behold, it was. She was $40 or $45. She had been bought as a Christmas gift for this little girl, and she never did anything with her. And the father was like, well, if she's just going to collect dust, I might as well sell her. We ended up getting her that day, and this little boy saw her in the box and followed us around and wanted to like see her and look at her, and he was so taken with Marie. So I always think of him when I see Marie, and future doll collector, I think. And his mom was a real good sport about it. It was so cute. He was like obsessed with Marie.
It was cute.
And I love her to bits and pieces. She has like a little scuff on her nose.
The irony is we'd actually been looking at Marie dolls on eBay the night before we found her.
I have way too many Samantha dolls as it is, but in February of 2018 we were at the Salvation Army, and I saw this Samantha doll with just a shirt on, like a random shirt, and she was $2, and she reminded me so much of my first doll named Luca that I had to buy her, even though I told myself I didn't need her.
And I coerced her.
Yes. So her name is Bethan, and I fixed her up. And then we have my 3 Biddy Twins dolls. I always thought the concept of Biddy Twins was really intriguing. I liked the older versions that were supposed to be younger better than the toddler versions, but nonetheless, I always thought about getting them. It was something we talked about, and I see Biddy Twins a lot secondhand, but none were ever in the price range we wanted. So that summer, and we saw a bunch of these 3 on a table at the flea market, and they were $1 each, and sellers knew what they were selling, and they just wanted to get rid of it. And they had a bunch of pieces of clothing like this outfit, so we bought a bunch of stuff for like less than $5. I named him Sonny. He was in the worst shape. You can see he's got like a chipped eyebrow. This is Eddie, and this is Billie Jean.
And it should be noted that I believe Sonny and Eddie actually were sold together because they have the same meat outfit, whereas Billie has an older meat outfit.
So this is before for Molly.
I saw the mini doll at Barnes & Noble, and I was like, ooh, they're bringing back Molly, and I was really excited. And then I found out that she was only a store exclusive at Costco, which is like nowhere around here, and thought I was never going to be able to get this doll. And we were wicked broke at the time, and I kept just perseverating on how I needed this new Molly, even though I already had 4 Mollys. And the thought wouldn't come out of my mind, and even though we couldn't really afford it, Shelly being the best sister in the world, she actually like looked online until she found a deal on one. And on Christmas Eve, I woke up thinking I was the coolest sister in the world because I'd spent hours making Shelly this photo collage. And I had it hidden under my bed. I thought I was being really slick. I wake up on Christmas Eve morning feeling, oh yes, I put that collage out tonight after she goes to bed, so she wakes up to it on Christmas Day. I'm completely thrown off track because I walked into the kitchen and there's this huge present on the table, and I thought, no, she didn't get me Molly. And she did, and she's so awesome. And I have to say that she's my favorite because it was really special, like my favorite besides my childhood doll, because it was really special that Shelly went to all that trouble to get her for me. Also, I like her meat outfit. I think it's like the coolest outfit they've ever made for Molly. And I just love, like, the set she came in with, like, the fancy packaging and the pajamas and the accessories. I just think she's really, really awesome.
Fortunately, I had sold my old Jeep at the time, so I had some money to buy this doll. And Colleen knows what I paid for her, so she was $169 with tax and shipping. And I decided what I was going to pay for her because I kind of priced out like what the doll would go for, what the accessories would go for, and what the pajama set would go for. And actually, when American Girl listed them for like a recent deal on their website, their like fake original price was, I want to say $10 off from what I paid for her. And if I had gotten her for that price from them, I would have paid tax and shipping. So
it all worked out.
That's how I decide what to pay for things, if you're wondering. So then we have our dolls from this year, 2019. We have Melodie Ellison. I always wanted them to make a doll from the civil rights era. I didn't know why that hadn't been more prioritized, and also I just love African American dolls. So when I found out that they were actually going to make Melodie and I saw pictures of her book leaked, I was really excited. I loved her outfit. I loved Barbie clothes from that era. I loved her cartoon. I loved the concept, the historical concept behind her. And I admit that when she came out, like, we had talked about maybe going to the store and getting her, maybe pre-ordering her, but when she came out, like when they released pictures of her online, I was disappointed because I didn't like the Sonali mold a whole lot, and I thought, you know what, I'll wait and see what I think of her because I don't want to get the doll and not be 100% sure. Many years later in 2019, we were kind of having a conversation about, then when we started talking about her, it got me thinking about her, and then I started looking for her online, and I got mine from a collector who just displayed her, who had her holiday outfit and her Christmas coat. The doll was complete. She was in wonderful shape. She was like, what, $100?
She was wicked cheap.
Yeah, I know, and even with the price lowering on the American Girls recently from the company, she was still a great deal because she was like new. I love her textured hair. That's my favorite thing about her. So now we're on to Cecile, who I always really loved, and because she looks so different than Addie with a different head mold and this really unique eye color and curls, I was very, very intrigued by her even when we weren't that into American Girls. And when Ivy retired around that time, I was disappointed that Cecile had already sold out by that point, or I might have gotten Cecile instead of Ivy. So she was kind of always on my wish list, and she was talked about a lot. But then we happened to find Marie Grace first, and I contemplated getting her that same summer, but I talked myself out of it. And so finally, this summer in 2019, I knew that I was going to have like enough money to be able to buy her for myself. So even though I actually got Melodie first, I had been looking for a Cecile doll on eBay since like May. The reason why I chose my particular doll was because she just had a really pretty picture in the listing. Like, her face just stood out to me. So even though she wasn't like the best deal, I got her because I just loved the doll so much, and she had her accessory set, which was, I did want to get one with her little hat. So we got her for like, what, $120?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it was like $120, $125, and that was with tax and shipping. And she had like her whole meat outfit and her accessory set that was still brand new. I'm just so glad, like, my collection feels complete now that we have her. And then Mckenna over here, Girl of the Year 2012, we got her at the flea market this fall. She turned up for $20. Now, Mckenna wasn't a character I originally really cared for because I'm not that into blonde dolls generally. The first time we went to the American Girl store in 2012, she was the Girl of the Year, and it was kind of cool seeing her in stores. So I always think of her when I think of going to the stores. What made me like her was kind of just random. I think I was online or something, and I don't know if someone was complaining about their Mckenna doll, like, not being perfect or something, but I started taking pity on her. This is kind of a theme with me. I feel bad when people complain about a certain doll a lot. It makes me take pity on them, and I thought, oh, you know, she actually is kind of pretty, and I started getting into the idea of having a Mckenna, and I actually did look for her on eBay in the past. Colleen can attest to this. But we found her this fall for $20 at the flea market. She wasn't wearing her original outfit. She was wearing a My American Girl pajama set instead. I have Claire. She's number 25, and yes, she has a super wonky face. Like, you can tell that her eyebrows are very misplaced, and her lips are also uneven. Like, one part of her cupid's bow is taller than the other side, but that's actually why we bought Claire. So before I was even like fully back into collecting dolls. I used to spend a lot of time on YouTube watching people's collection videos. I don't watch a lot of doll YouTube anymore, but like back then, before I was into collecting dolls full-fledged, I kind of lived vicariously through other people. I remember this one girl had number 25, and her name was Claire. I didn't know like she was number 25. I just knew what she looked like and that this girl called her Claire. So in my head, she was Claire for all of those years. And she's a very common, popular doll. She must sell really well because they still produce her. It was somewhere in the back of my mind that I really liked her and always hoped to find her. And when they came out with the Truly Me rebranding, that was the first time I told Colleen, like, oh, number 25 is the one I really like. And it's actually because of Mckenna that we ended up with Claire. So we bought Mckenna's meat outfit for a really good deal off Mercari. And that was my first time using that website instead of eBay. When we were talking about how now we have Cecile, Colleen plans to get Rebecca sooner than later. We're going to have all of our dream dolls. And then I said, well, except number 25. And I was kind of joking around, but then Colleen went online later that night and found this Clara doll. She was brand new. She had been purchased at a benefit sale. She has the X on her bum. And I mean, it's obvious why she was returned. I mean, look at her face. It's really wonky. She has the perma panties, too. She's my only one with the perma panties. I don't know. I felt kind of bad for her weird face and her perma panties, all things that I knew other people would scorn. And I didn't mind. I actually thought it kind of made her really quirky looking. So she was such a fabulous deal. She was $77 brand new.
Yep.
With like tax and shipping.
I bothered Shelly for like 2 whole days before she finally
Yeah, because I was trying to be good. So I got her not long after we found Mckenna. And I love her. She's everything I thought she would be. I love how like simple but interesting she is. I'm really happy with Claire, and I decided to name her Claire in honor of that other doll. And then we have Rebecca.
I always liked the idea of Rebecca when I first heard about her. There was a paper doll named Leona Katz that I had from American Girl magazine with the Jewish heritage, and that paper doll had kind of made me interested in like reading books, like the Jewish perspective and things like that when I was young. And it really fueled my imagination, and Leona was kind of like my main character in our paper doll games for a while. And when I found out they made Rebecca, I thought, oh, that's cool. It's kind of like making a full-size Leona doll, only with like really old-fashioned clothes, which is even cooler. And then when they revamped her meat outfit for Be Forever, I just thought the plum outfit really made her look just like different, and it really had her catching my eye. And I have to say that I'm really like sentimental toward like the early Be Forever stuff, because it reminds me of like that summer when we got Julie and Ivy. I kind of started falling in love with Rebecca at the time, and I tried to talk Shelly into getting Rebecca because I liked Rebecca, because you know I've been like a kind of like a Molly monogamist since when I got Valerie and regretted it. I was afraid to admit that I really wanted Rebecca for myself. I've known since probably at least 2015 that I definitely wanted to get Rebecca someday. At some point, because we've been saying for a long time that we wanted to get Cecile and Rebecca. Once we had Cecile, it made the fact that we didn't have Rebecca feel really weird.
So we got her on Cyber Monday for 20% off. And last but not least, we have our mini dolls.
I got her for, I want to say Christmas in either 2004 or 2005.
Isabel, the limited edition Josephine and Grace. I got them all from American Girl's website on sales at different times. I want to say I got her in 2015, her in 2016 or 2017, and her in 2017. And Ruthie and Kit were both secondhand. We got Ruthie when we got those 3 bitty twins, but she was 25 cents. And then Kit we got, she was actually one of the last dolls we got in 2018. We were at a little local charity store, and she was $1 or $2. And then Melodie, we got her for $10, still sealed in her little box with her book, at the flea market this year. We hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said at the beginning, if you want to check out additional pictures or information about these dolls, feel free to check out my Flickr linked below. And until next time, love your dolls, love yourself, and love your life.